T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we are going to be taking a look at Fansproject Flameblast and Warcry, which are two redecos of the Munitioner and Explorer mold for the Bruticus combiner, Colossus as they call it. And if you're like me, you probably, well, if you own these molds, you've probably picked up the one for Bruticus, just because, let's face it, he just looks pretty darn cool like that. And if you picked him up, you probably fiddled with the bots a little and said, wow, these are actually some pretty cool bots. Unfortunately, since he looks better as a combiner, you're probably more likely to keep him like that than these individual modes. That was really my ultimate decision on why I bought these guys, is because I loved the bot modes of Munitioner and Explorer. But I didn't really have any reason to display them like this. Let's first, I would like to compare these guys. So I've taken Munitioner and Explorer and put them back from their limb modes, which are pretty easy. Now, before I go any further, you're probably going to notice that my Warcry has some different paint apps here than what you're normally seeing. And that's because Munitioner and Warcry both have this system on the front to plug into the feet to make the Colossus, and I didn't like it, so I tried to remove it. Unfortunately, removing these left two holes in the front of the grill because it's apparently not as solid as it looks all the way through. You can actually see there's the hole there, something I didn't anticipate at the time. And yeah, I ultimately couldn't get the grill of the Hummer to look very good because of it. So I had to do some painting and actually used the grill of a rescue ratchet, but I'll show you that after. Let's do the transformation first, and it's going to be the same for both these guys. In Explorer's case, you take off this gun. In Warcry's case, you're going to take off the turret of the tank. Then, what you're going to do here is take the front and pop it out and up on both sides. Then you can separate the front here of the truck, and it's tabbed in at the bottom too, so you have to kind of get all the tabs out. And then when you do that, you can flip the leg around. And then your windshield here, this is kind of just posable for however you want to put them on your desk. Now you're going to take this part here and separate it also. Actually no, I'm sorry, do the back first. And flip this up and around like that. Now that that's free, you can pull this apart and around and then bring his hand down. And flip this up, around. And there's that. Now, finally, open his chest, flip his head out, and take this and squish it down together. And then just pose him right. And he should, oh, he's also got these heel spurs too. I forgot about that. That makes him stand a whole lot better too. And we'll put this here. Stick him next to Warcry. Oops. Apparently I'm not very good at positioning the heel spurs today. Alright. Oh, Warcry. I know you're upset you fell. Alright. So, let's get to our Explorer. Flip his wings up. Separate the back so his weapon falls out. Take these and rotate them on around and up. Now, take these parts, now that your leg's free, and move them up into position like this towards the front. See how it's on the joint? Put it up there. Take this little pin, which is for combining, and move that out of the way. Now, take his nose cone. Oh, what am I doing it wrong? Oh yeah, it's the very top of this nose cone. You gotta take his hands out of it because there's locks in there. Bring this down and around. Now, you're gonna probably have to get these out of the way a little. And then they're on this joint that kind of goes a little bit up and then out. At first, at least. Around. Bring his panels to the outside of his arm. You can see when you try to bring it down, it's at the bottom, so flip it around. And then just put these back up. And you can kind of do what you want with these back panels, if you like them behind or you want them in front. They do limit him a little bit, but we'll talk about that. And then again, open up his chest and pull out his head. And in the Explorer's case, something you don't have in Flameblast is that the sword transforms. So let's take a look at the bots here. Let's go with Munitioner and Warcry first. And I'll put some just this lighting here. Now, you can see that they're not entirely just repaints of each other with different weapons. Warcry does have a different visored head, and I actually really like the head. There's a lot of detail in this head, and I don't know, he just looks like he's pretty awesome. The Munitioner, the only thing I can complain about him is I would have liked to have seen purple eyes for Swindle, but that's okay. Now, Munitioner really only comes with this accessory for himself, but you have to remember that they come with all the combiner parts for to make the Bruticus, and that includes, like, you know, the trailer part for Onslaught, the different guns and stuff. And the difference between these two guys is about $10. So for $10 you lose, you know, the combiner parts, which you may not need, but you also lose a whole bunch of guns that they could use. On the other hand, you do get stuff for the individual bot. You've got this turret here, which has this little flip-up green thing, which is a huge pain to get out. And he's got these two barrels, and then the other part of the turret makes kind of like a punch knuckle type thing. And it makes you can see that the barrels here, one plugs in at the bottom and the other one becomes a cannon for this gun. So you do get some accessories, but it's a $10 difference, and it's really up to you. You know, if you have the combiner and you don't plan on using it, I'd still maybe consider getting Munitioner over Warcry because of it. But if you like the Munitioner in the Explorer mold, and you don't, you know, you don't need a second copy of them, then yeah, I think this is the way to go. And you can see they do have some varying paint apps. Don't look at the grill here, because that's all my paint apps. His paint apps did come looking like that with the silver and the orange. You got the silver down there, different windows. And what they've really done here is, well, actually his waist, I just noticed it, his waist is actually a different piece of material. It's not just a repaint, this is flat out molded different. When you get to his chest, you kind of inverted what details were picked out here. Instead of doing the outside, they've painted the inside here and then painted the whole top, which really gives him a different look, especially combined with the paint on the arms too. I really like how that ends up looking here. Let me take his accessories off. This one here doesn't really peg on too well because you're just using these little slots on the side here to peg it in place. There's really not a very good connection there, but let's take this off. We can go over range of motion. And let me show you this too. As you can see, it's just this little gun, and this is actually what's going to be like the gun of the turret after, and then you take these pieces, and there's like a key and the slot here, so it can only really plug in one way to plug it together. Now it also has this little targeting sight thing that sits inside there. I showed you it up. And it's kind of a pain to get out if you have fingers like me. You can only get so far in before you can't really lift it out too much any further. So it sits like that. That time I actually managed to get in. I have a slight fingernail, I guess, today. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. A nice little, like, targeting thing. I like to think of it more like a laser targeting device, I guess. That's what my mind thinks it is. For articulation, you got a good range. You've got this on a swivel as well as the ball joint, so you can get his arm really close. Of course, it can turn around that way should you want. It can do a 360, but you're limited on how it can pull it off because of that. The head is on a small ball joint, so he's not going to look up too much, but he is going to get a full range of motion. And I wanted to say, these guys are absolutely amazing when it comes to actually putting them on a desk and posing them. They look so good on the desk. Hips on a ball joint. You've got a waist joint, so he can rotate at the waist 360. Upper thigh, knee, no lower swivel, but you do have, like I said, the feet, so he can assume a wide variety of poses. I mean, it doesn't really take much to make these guys just look awesome on a desk, sitting there posed. So, they really have so much personality. When we get on to Warcry here, and we'll pull up Explorer, you can drastically see the differences in their head. One is a, you know, he's got the top, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure what it is. It looks more like a combat helmet. Whereas the other one looks more like your standard fare, almost Optimus Prime type head. And it still oozes personality there. Now, the difference between the swords I showed you is you can see that Explorer's is a bit longer than Munitioner's. But this is really Explorer's only accessory aside from the weaponry. So, when this folds up like that, that's how you're going to make his tail. And frankly, I feel like Flameblast does it better with this tail. And I'll show you why after. Now, he also has these additional pieces here that open up, and there's a gun in each of them. So you can have him dual wielding some guns. I just noticed. Why is mine like that? There we go. Anyway, yeah, so you can have him dual wielding some guns. And this is where I had a little bit of a problem with my particular mold, and I think it was just only mine. One of these would clip down really nice. It was this one. Now this one would not. It would keep bouncing out and would never seal correct. So I actually had to take a little bit of super glue and thicken up that and the peg. And now I was able to at least get it closed like that. Before it kept just popping up to the actual open state. Not a real big deal, but it was a bigger gap than I liked. So a little super glue and it fixed it. Now, the other thing is there's no real place to store his sword if you're going to use his cannons, his guns. So what I actually found you can do is to rotate one of these back panels away. Take the sword, stick it in there about where you would want to see it on his front, and then just kind of close it up. And it does limit his articulation a little because the sword's going to be sitting there, so it's going to block a little bit of posability. But ultimately, it looks pretty decent when he's got the sword sticking out his back like that. So, and the two little pistols are just two very basic pistols, which actually would look really good with an RC character holding them, to be honest. So, you plug these guys on in, and you can pull off a variety of poses when it comes to holding his two pistols. So, that's pretty cool. Again, these paint apps are a little bit more similar than the Swindle paint apps. You got more going on the legs, obviously. The crotch piece is actually less detailed, but then you have that extra strip of white up here. and then pretty much all you have is just a change of color schemes going through the chest. But it works. It still gives enough personality to them that they don't necessarily feel like they came from the same robot, or the same alt mode, or the same mold. Yeah, I think mold's what I was looking to say. And I like that. It gives it enough personality. So let's remove the sword and stuff here, because we can go through the articulation. This guy is a little bit more limited because with these front chest panels, he kind of bumps them, and you can't really get a full forward motion with it in the way. If it was out, it'd be perfect, 360, but it's not. It's a little in the way, so you have to kind of accommodate. Again, the same elbow type joint, ball joint, and a swivel, both sides. You got the waist ratchet, the upper thigh, the knee, and then the feet are on ball joints, so you can get them in a variety of poses. So again, you have two characters that just are amazingly well done. So we might as well get these guys into their alt mode. And first we'll start by putting these guns back into their little holders and popping them off, because they will have to come off. It's a slight parts forming, I suppose, for just a little bit, and nothing you can do about it, because they actually go on the opposite side of the wing. So what you're gonna do first, take his chest, put his head down, and one thing on my Flameblast is his chin has a little bit of wear here. I don't know if that happened, you know, if that was like that when he got here or what, but because the head is a little bit bigger, it seems like it might wear just a little. So take this joint and put it back the way it was, which is going to be flipping it up and over. Take your hands and just fold them down in front of his face, right, well, where his face would have been, I should say, right now. And do the same for the other side. And fold this down. And take this. Oh, first we gotta line all these up, I'm sorry. These little tabs here to kind of get it in and hold it in place. Then take the front of the shuttle down and then lock it in place with his hands. Now, I like to personally put his feet back like this. You can kind of do whatever you want. I put this little peg down too. At some point I'd like to find a little toy space shuttle and get a engine I can put on the back there. Now his sword is going to fit right into this little tab right here to hold it in place. And there's a matching one on the other side. And then you can peg his legs together with the tab system here. And then he's also got the pin on his foot you have to kind of line up too to make it look right. And then just squeeze it all together, and that's good. So you're left with this. You can flip his wings down, and you can flip the pieces of the shuttle down.